Welcome to Forever Remembered. I'm Elizabeth. Today we take time to honour the lives of incredible individuals whose impact continues to echo across generations. Through their work, passion and dedication, they touched countless hearts. Join us as we celebrate their stories from film, music and culture, preserving memories that will never fade and always inspire. Najjar, a businessman who became known to television audiences through his connection to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, has passed away at the age of 68. His daughter, Caitlin Najjar, confirmed the news on April 20th through heartfelt personal messages shared on social media, reflecting on family memories and moments they shared. Reports indicate he died on April 18th, though no official cause of death has been publicly disclosed. Public recognition Najjar became widely recognised by viewers through the nickname Big Papa, which was referenced during the early seasons of the show. Although he never appeared on screen, his presence was felt through conversations about his role in cast member Kim Zolciak's life. This off-screen connection created curiosity among audiences and became part of the show's early storyline discussions. Personal story. His relationship with public attention was often surrounded by speculation and differing accounts, which added complexity to how he was viewed in the media. Despite that, family tributes have focused more on his private life than public discussion. His daughter shared emotional memories, including personal photos and handwritten notes that highlighted a more caring and thoughtful side of him. Legacy Najjar is remembered by his family as a private individual whose life extended beyond television narratives. He is survived by his wife Kimberly and their children, with loved ones honouring him through personal memories, family bonds, and moments that defined him away from public attention. Lamont McLemore, born in 1935 in St. Louis, Missouri, had a varied early life before entering music. He served in the United States Navy as an aerial photographer, later using those skills in civilian work, photographing athletes and celebrities. He also briefly pursued baseball in the Los Angeles Dodgers farm system, showing his early drive and versatility. The Fifth Dimension and musical success. McLemore later became a founding member of the Fifth Dimension alongside Marilyn McCoo, Billy Davis Jr., Ron Townsend, and Florence LaRue. The group became known for blending pop, soul, and psychedelic influences into a smooth, uplifting sound. Their hits, including Up, Up and Away, and Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, became defining songs of their era and brought widespread recognition. Life beyond the stage. Outside of performing, McLemore was known for his creativity and calm personality. He contributed to photography and remained involved in artistic work throughout his life. Friends and collaborators often described him as grounded and supportive, valuing connection and expression over fame. Legacy Lamont McLemore passed away at the age of 90, leaving behind a rich musical legacy. His work with the Fifth Dimension continues to resonate with listeners across generations, preserving a sound that symbolises hope, harmony, and cultural change. Darrell Sheets, widely known for his long-running role on Storage Wars, has passed away at the age of 67. He was found at a residence in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, on April 22nd, with authorities noting that the matter remains under investigation. His passing marks the loss of a familiar face in reality television, where he remained a standout personality for over a decade. A career built on auctions. Before television fame, Sheets spent more than 30 years working in storage auctions, a field driven by instinct, timing, and risk. He became known for his bold approach to bidding and his ability to spot potential value in overlooked storage units. His confidence and experience earned him recognition within the auction community and shaped the reputation he later brought to television. Rise on Storage Wars. When Storage Wars premiered in 2010, Sheets quickly became one of its most recognisable cast members. The show followed buyers competing for abandoned storage units, turning everyday auctions into entertainment. His personality, competitive spirit, and memorable finds helped define the series, and contributed to its popularity over multiple seasons. Family and personal life. Outside of television, Sheets was known to be deeply connected to his family. He shared a long-term relationship with Kimber Nesbitt Pino and often worked alongside his son, Brandon Sheets, who also took part in the auction business. Those close to him described a person who valued family relationships as much as his professional pursuits. Legacy and impact. Darrell Sheets leaves behind a legacy tied to both entertainment and real-world auction culture. He helped bring visibility to a niche industry and became a familiar figure to millions of viewers. His legacy continues through Storage Wars and the lasting impression he made as someone who brought energy, risk-taking, and authenticity to reality television. Priscilla Anderson was a talented hip-hop dancer and choreographer who built a respected career in the entertainment world. She worked with major artists such as Britney Spears, Rihanna, and Snoop Dogg, showcasing her skill and creativity on global stages. She also contributed to professional cheerleading, choreography in Dallas, where her work earned admiration for its energy, precision, and style. Life and public recognition. Beyond her dance career, Priscilla became known to a wider audience through a reality-based program that highlighted her family life with her husband, country musician Kofi Anderson. The series offered a glimpse into her roles as a performer, wife, and mother, reflecting both her professional achievements and personal journey in a relatable way. Personal message and faith. Before her passing at the age of 45 after a long illness, Priscilla left a heartfelt message shared after her death through a close friend. In it, she spoke about peace, love, and her strong faith, encouraging her loved ones not to dwell in sadness. She expressed gratitude for her life, her fight, and the deep love she held for her family. Legacy and remembrance. Priscilla Anderson is remembered for her resilience, creativity, and strength throughout her life and illness. She leaves behind her children and loved ones, along with a legacy rooted in passion for dance, dedication to family, and an inspiring spirit that continues to touch those who knew her story. Alan Osmond was widely known as the eldest member of the Osmonds, a family group that rose to fame in the 1970s and left a lasting mark on popular music. Beyond the spotlight, he was seen as a steady and thoughtful presence within his family. His life reflected creativity, devotion, and a strong sense of purpose, showing that real success is not only about fame, but also about the relationships we build and the values we carry forward in everyday life. Strength through adversity. For many years, Alan lived with multiple sclerosis, a condition that gradually changed how he experienced the world. Instead of focusing on loss, he chose acceptance and resilience. Life became slower, but also more meaningful. Through patience and inner growth, he discovered a deeper kind of strength, one built on understanding, gratitude, and emotional courage. His journey reminded others that hardship can still shape a person in powerful and positive ways. A lasting inspiration. Alan's influence continues through the people he touched and the example he set. He believed in kindness, service, and staying connected to others even during difficult times. His story encourages living with intention and compassion, proving that a life well lived is measured by love given and lives uplifted. Kevin Costner was born into a life that rarely stayed still long enough to feel familiar. His family moved from town to town across California, shifting between places like Compton, Visalia, and Villa Park, as his father worked steady but demanding utility jobs. For a young boy, it meant constantly starting over in classrooms, where friendships were already formed and social circles already closed. That experience shaped him early. He became observant, careful and quiet, learning to study people before stepping into their world. He later described it as always being the new kid, a position that taught him how to listen more than speak. In that quiet adaptation, he developed a sense of independence that would define much of his later life. Even as a child, he found escape in swimming, books, and imagination, small private worlds that offered stability when real life kept shifting beneath his feet repeatedly. Finding direction and discipline. As he grew older, Costner began shaping interests that gave him a sense of structure, Sports, especially swimming, offered discipline, while storytelling gave him emotional release. He attended California State University Fullerton, where he studied business to satisfy practical expectations, even though his attention was increasingly drawn toward performance and film. Acting began as a quiet curiosity, something he explored through classes and small stage work while maintaining the appearance of a conventional academic path. It was during these years that he started to understand the pull of storytelling as more than a hobby. It felt like a calling he could not easily ignore. Raised in a household that valued hard work and responsibility, he struggled between stability and risk. Eventually, the pull of performance grew stronger than any practical plan, setting him on a path that would require persistence, patience, and a willingness to face repeated uncertainty. Early struggles and personal foundations. After college, Costner made the difficult decision to pursue acting fully, stepping into a world where rejection was far more common than opportunity. His early years in Hollywood were defined by small roles, odd jobs, and long stretches of uncertainty. He worked as a truck driver and took production jobs simply to stay afloat while attending auditions. During this period, he married Cindy Silver, his college sweetheart, who became a central figure in his life. Their relationship was built long before fame entered the picture, grounded in shared struggle and early ambition. While Costner chased opportunities, she maintained stability at home, supporting a life that was still forming. Those years were not glamorous, but they were formative. They built the foundation of his resilience, teaching him persistence in an industry that often dismissed newcomers without hesitation or consideration for their long-term potential or effort. Breakthrough and first recognition. Costner's breakthrough came gradually, not as a sudden moment, but as a series of openings that finally aligned. His role in The Big Chill was meant to be a stepping stone, but most of his scenes were ultimately cut, leaving him briefly erased from a project he had worked hard to join. Rather than discouraging him, the experience strengthened his resolve. Soon after, he appeared in Silverado, a Western ensemble film that finally allowed his presence to stand out. Audiences and filmmakers began noticing his natural screen confidence, a quiet intensity that did not rely on excess. That role led to more significant opportunities, and by the mid-1980s, his career was steadily building momentum. He was no longer invisible in the industry. Instead, he was becoming known as a dependable leading presence, someone capable of carrying emotional weight without overstatement or forced performance. Rise to stardom and defining films. By the late 1980s, Costner had fully entered Hollywood's leading tier. Films like The Untouchables and Bull Durham showcased his range, moving between intensity and understated charm. He often portrayed grounded, morally centered characters, which resonated with audiences seeking authenticity. Field of Dreams further solidified his place in cinema history, blending emotion, nostalgia, and quiet belief in impossible ideas. His performances were not loud or theatrical, they were restrained, allowing audiences to project their own meaning onto his characters. This period marked the height of his early stardom, where he was seen as one of the most reliable and emotionally engaging actors of his generation. He represented a kind of cinematic sincerity that felt increasingly rare. With each film, his reputation grew, not as a celebrity built on spectacle, but as an actor capable of grounding even the most idealistic stories in emotional truth. The triumph of Dances with Wolves. In 1990, Costner took an enormous creative risk by directing and starring in Dances with Wolves. The film was ambitious in scale, unconventional in structure, and uncertain in commercial expectations. Studios were hesitant, but Costner committed fully, investing his time, energy, and personal belief into the project. The film exceeded all expectations, earning critical acclaim and multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. It became a defining moment in his career, establishing him not just as an actor, but as a filmmaker with a distinct vision. The success positioned him at the top of Hollywood's creative hierarchy. However, behind the achievement, the demands of the project had already begun placing strain on his personal life. long production schedules and emotional immersion in his work created distance at home, even as his professional standing reached unprecedented heights and recognition worldwide continued to grow steadily. Personal cost and first major collapse. While Costner's career reached extraordinary success, his marriage to Cindy Silver began to deteriorate under the weight of time, distance, and competing priorities. The same dedication that fueled his professional rise made it difficult for him to maintain balance at home. Over the years, their relationship shifted from shared struggle to separate lives, with fame reshaping daily reality in ways that were difficult to reconcile. By the mid-1990s, they divorced after 16 years of marriage, marking a deeply personal turning point. The separation coincided with increasing public pressure and scrutiny, adding emotional weight to an already difficult period. Costner later acknowledged that he had not been fully present in the relationship, reflecting on it with quiet honesty rather than public deflection. The divorce marked the end of a foundational chapter in his life, forcing him to reassess both his personal priorities and the cost of sustained ambition. Waterworld and professional backlash. Following his earlier successes, Costner took one of his most controversial creative risks with Waterworld, a large-scale science fiction production that faced significant logistical challenges. The film's budget expanded dramatically during production, and delays created widespread media attention. When it was released, public and critical reaction was divided, with much of the narrative focusing on its production difficulties rather than its artistic intentions. The film became a symbol of Hollywood excess, and Costner faced significant criticism. He followed it with The Postman, another ambitious project that also struggled commercially and critically. These back-to-back experiences reshaped his public image, shifting him from celebrated filmmaker to cautionary example in industry discussions. Despite the backlash, he remained committed to his creative instincts, continuing to pursue projects that reflected his long-form storytelling vision, even when they were met with skepticism from critics and studios alike during that period. Reinvention and Yellowstone's success. After years of fluctuating public perception, Costner gradually rebuilt his career through smaller, more grounded performances and personal projects. His work remained consistent, even if mainstream attention had shifted elsewhere. That changed significantly with Yellowstone, a television series that introduced him to a new generation of viewers. His role as John Dutton resonated widely, bringing him back into cultural prominence. The show became a major success, redefining his place in modern entertainment. At the same time, he pursued an ambitious independent film project titled Horizon, investing significant personal resources into its production. Balancing both commitments created logistical and professional tension, eventually leading to his departure from Yellowstone. Around the same period, his second marriage also ended, marking another major personal transition. These overlapping changes reflected a recurring pattern in his life, where creative ambition and personal stability often intersected in difficult and unpredictable ways. Enduring identity and creative persistence. Despite decades of public highs and lows, Costner's career has remained defined by persistence and conviction. His choices have often leaned toward large, ambitious storytelling rather than safer, more predictable projects. This approach has led to both critical acclaim and public setbacks, but it has also kept his work distinct within Hollywood. Even in later years, he continued developing Horizon, treating it as a long-term creative commitment rather than a conventional production. His identity as an artist has remained closely tied to themes of independence, belief, and emotional honesty. Personal experiences, including relationships, family, and professional challenges, have shaped his perspective without defining it entirely. Over time, his career reflects a pattern of rebuilding after disruption, consistently returning to storytelling as both a personal anchor and creative outlet, regardless of industry expectations or changing trends within film and television landscapes. Reflection and lasting legacy. Looking at Costner's life as a whole reveals a pattern of ambition balanced by consequence. He achieved some of the highest honours in film, experienced public setbacks, and navigated deeply personal transitions, all while continuing to work across decades. His story is not defined by a single success or failure, but by repeated cycles of creation, loss, and renewal. Through it all, he maintained a consistent dedication to storytelling, often choosing projects that reflected emotional depth rather than commercial certainty. His legacy is shaped as much by his resilience as by his awards or box office achievements. Whether as an actor, director, or producer, he has remained committed to building narratives that reflect conviction. In the end, his career stands as an example of long-term persistence in an industry defined by change, where endurance often matters as much as recognition or immediate success.